take a sec. Somatic, emotional, and cognitive. Take a sec, see what's going on in your biological space suit. I could tell you for mine, revved up, mobilized. So my suit's a little bit more like this right now. My little guy. Hi. So not my little Bella, but my little Theodore, who's depicted here, is going to undergo a procedure today. And so remember, everything that our biological spacesuits do are is either going to be helpful or helpful. So for example, last night I knew that this was coming and I wasn't even thinking about it because a helpful little Earth Guide Only, EGO, Earth Guide Only, popped up to say, let's edit that video. Do it. You'll get a head start. And the funny thing is, this video, no one needs it. We probably don't even need it for a couple weeks. No one's asking me for it. But that was an attempt of this little voice or little ego, Earth Guide Only in my head to distract me, right? And be like, let's focus on this video so that you don't have to worry about the operation. So, I edited a little bit, but I was able to get back into more of my spirit shining through to say, we don't need this. We should be sitting with Theodore now and petting him and loving on him, right? And so when we have a lot of stuff going on and the heavier stuff, it's like, it's by design, or helpfully, the negativity and all this stuff is truly helpful because it saves our lives. But it also has this gravity to it, and you get this abyss of negativity that kind of like pulls you down, and one negative sticking to another. So within our biological spacesuit, are we allowing our spirit to shine through? And I do have a big plastic astronaut that works better. Or do we have this like heavy stuff and we're blocking spirit, right? And so it's always there, but is what's going on in our suit, again, the suit's always going to be helpful or helpful. Is it blocking out spirit? And then the contrast would be, when we have positivity. I thought I was buying like those little wedding size bubbles and got those. Then we could really have spirit shining through. We could be guided more by our intuition, and it's all healthier for the suit. And so that's where I'm at when I do that sec check, is just like nervous, like revved up without even being able to tell you a story about it, right? And I don't think I need to. All right, so let's look at the SQ Pocket Coach. And so for me right now, what guidance? What needs to get reconfigured back to love and light? So there's all different kinds of things in there. Well, I think it's maybe like a part of me or an ego, Earth Guide Only, that's popping up to be like super worried about everything. It could also be part of a response of my, we call it Amy the amygdala, kind of looping through working memory to like, keep harping on, this is happening and this is bad and what else could go wrong, and like kind of keeping me kind of stuck in that. And so in that case, the first thing I really like is havening. And there's something called CPR for the amygdala. And I'm probably not going to do the protocol super correctly, but with havening touch, and there's so much science around this for the tactile receptors, the type of receptors in our skin, where we're touching on our hands and stuff. CPR for the amygdala kind of breaks that loop and gives the working memory something else to do. So rather than searching my brain and looking for all these bad stories, because they're all in there, that'll keep me revved up and worrying, I'm gonna start to do this havening touch, which gets calming delta waves going in my brain, and do some of the stuff in that protocol. And I'm not gonna do the protocol correctly, I'll tell you that right now. But guess what? Even when I don't do it correctly, it helps me. And I will say that I took a training on PESI.com, unless it's PESI.org, but I think it's PESI.com. So a 6-hour training. So I'm past the test. So I'm able to use these tools and share these tools as someone who's a coach, a facilitator. I'm not a therapist. And of course, I'm allowed to use them on myself. So part of the stuff we want to get the working memory to do is going to involve, finding different things with our eyes, visual. So looking for rectangles and maybe finding 3 rectangles around the room. Maybe finding squares, 3 squares around the room. The squares are trickier, but I have my square here. I see a square over there. Finding circles around the room. Songs, another thing, singing a song. I'm not sure what song I'll sing, but Theodore loves the song Country Girl, Shake It For Me. So country girl, shake it for me. Yeah. All right. So getting a little bit of song in there. And then even, explaining something, a procedure to someone could help. I feel like I missed another one in there. We have auditory. You're trying to get all your senses involved and get your working memory kind of thinking of other stuff. So the havening touch is great because Amy the Amygdala and Dr. Kate Truitt is the one who ran that PESI course, and she's awesome, and she calls the amygdala Amy the Amygdala. When something happens, and I call it like a WTF scenario, and this would be a scenario that could cause post-traumatic stress disorder. It could cause stress-induced structural plasticity. So when something like this very WTF moment is happening, the brain becomes very hyperplastic. And so the brain waves in your brain are like revved up and sets up your brain to be hyperplastic. And what happens is, and this little way I'm doing it is thanks to Carol Robertson, PhD, in the cell membrane of the amygdala, these little AMPA receptors pop up. And not only that, they get superglued there, which is phosphorylation for those of you who like chemistry and stuff, and they get stuck there. And so now these felt sense memories from this WTF moment are helpfully encoded in those cell membranes of your amygdala to keep you safe in the future. But these are things like I was afraid of trickling water because there was a flood that I almost got electrocuted in, and I had awakened and heard the trickle, trickle, trickle. And so I was half asleep, went downstairs, and next thing you know, I'm in almost a foot of water where all my technology is. So my computer was on the floor at that point, and I was, oh God, I just stood there and screamed. Like, that's all I did. So again, our biological suit is helpful. And in that particular case, I would call that a fight or flight on hold response. That's called a lock, where my body didn't know what to do. And so, so that it was doing the best it could. But lo and behold, I betcha this felt sense memory. So anything that could have reminded me of that night, in this particular case, it was the trickle of the water. It would send me into like, oh boy, scared more of a panic kind of feeling to say, you're gonna die, Jess, right? And so luckily I don't have that anymore, but I could tell you other stories that happen like that, where it doesn't make sense. Like hearing a really loud fan, like a bathroom fan, would get me like really mobilized. And I know why it was. It's kind of a gross story, so I won't share that one. So anyway, when you do these delta waves or get these delta waves going with the Havening touch or CPR for the amygdala, I'll put a link to one that's more official than what I'm doing right now. It could have those receptors come back. And so now again, I'm not a therapist. I learned these tools to share in this kind of self-help, resilience, stress reduction kind of coaching way, not in a therapy way. But for people who are qualified to work with people who have PTSD, sometimes even one Havening session can kind of take away that felt sense memory, and so they're not getting that body reaction. So I actually feel way better right now. So that was the first part. What else was I going to say? I actually feel really great and calm. The other thing that happens when you get the delta waves going is you might get a little dopey. These same kind of waves that happen when you fall asleep. So I thought I was going to have another idea. And so, where's this? I have this little coin as well. So you don't even need a whole book. You don't even need a coin. You just got to remember that everything about your biological spacesuit, literally everything in there, is either helpful or helpful. Okay, so whether it's a little part popping up to tell me to the great quote unquote helpful idea, or one that is really in sync and in harmony, right? I know I've noticed a lot of the times with my own eating issues was I'd have like one part setting the rules, we're following this plan and you have to do it and check this box, and another part, no, I want to eat this or that, and kind of whacking this part down. And that doesn't work, because guess what? This part still would pop up and have me binge on something, right? So it wasn't until I was able to get to know these cast of characters and get them to like work together, right? And to, instead of being like so heavy and having this internal conflict. So there's a saying, a mind at war with itself knows not eternal peace, right? So instead of constantly worrying about this internal conflict, to really embrace with love all the different, I call them earth guide onlys, because Dr. Wayne Dyer said that once, and I love it, right? Ego is earth guide only, but guess what? We don't just have one ego. We have a whole bunch of different egoic states that pop up in there. So getting them to actually have inner harmony versus a mind at war. So you could do that. It's totally possible. I've done it. You could do it too. So that is part of it for me. And again, it's like, instead of bashing on the worried part and having like, let's pick different colors. Let's say this is the part that's worried, because worry isn't a bad thing, right? Worry keeps us alive. Dr. Amen always says, like, the ones who are like the don't worry, be happy, those are the ones who take risks and die younger than the ones who are worried. So you want this right level of worry or concern, and what is right? So rather than me coming home and being like, don't be worried, that does nothing, or letting that other helpful one be like, let's edit a video, and then this one, right, it's still there, but like getting to do the havening, because I do have some history. And in general, I have a BS in biochem, study all this science stuff. I know the risks of having my little guy go under. He's older. Like, this could have gone down a really deep abyss for me. And so this was a way to kind of call myself back to love, but I'm not squashing anything. I'm not sweeping anything under the rug. That's never the goal. And so that was that. Okay, so I thought it was a good opportunity to show how the SQ Pocket Coach would be a real, maybe not something that could fit in your pocket. You need some big old pockets for that. It could be something that could be helpful. And again, the coin as well, it says, stuck, not seeing, getting, experience what you wish to, flip it. And so what do I need to love on right now? And so love is literally always the answer. And I think I'm feeling good. I'm gonna go, speaking of love is the answer, I'm gonna go find that little chihuahua and give her some love right now too. Take good care.